And I got to be honest, tonight I was planning to come on here and do a Q&A and answer some questions, maybe baseball, hockey, when's the season going to start? But I've realized over this weekend that the biggest conversation surrounds what the Sharks put out on Thursday. And this is not a guaranteed thing. This is several years away that we'll even know how it plays out. But right now, there's a lot of planning in downtown San Jose that Google is going to expand their facilities, their campus, and it's basically going to create a whole new west side downtown San Jose, west of Highway 87. And that's really going to create an interesting scenario of busyness around SAP Center. How exactly will the Sharks sustain? How will all the other events that happen there, how will they go on if the neighborhood around it is a lot different? And I mean, parking's different, ingress and egress is different, transportation is a whole lot different. The atmosphere and the experience that you know right now at the tank could largely be a lot different 20 years from now. And so I'm going to get to all of this here. We're realizing this, and I've known that this project was underway for several years now, I guess until Thursday when the Sharks kind of, waved the flag a little bit. I didn't necessarily know that it was this imminent and that they were this concerned about how things are not going, as hoped and as planned their way thus far. Let me clarify what I'm going to try and do here. I'm just trying to think aloud here. I'll tell you what I'm not in all of this. I'm not an insider. I don't have any knowledge of anything anybody else doesn't have. I'm learning as much as you guys are about this right now. I'm not extremely well-versed. I need to do a lot more reading and understanding of what is actually planned to be taking place here. And I'm also not here tonight doing this live stream. I'm not here to persuade you on anything. I'm not here with any agenda. Again, I'm just trying to lay everything out that we know and think aloud with you and try and figure out what's going on here, what could happen, and how would it affect the Sharks and SAP Center, a building that's, obviously been around since 1993. And, the landscape and the neighborhood around it has grown and changed in a positive way since then. But now maybe it could grow around it too much. Again, I don't know. We'll get into that in just a second. But what I am is a Bay Area resident. I went to the tank the first season that hockey was played there in 93. Been there many years since then. I went to San Jose State, lived downtown for 4.5 years. Now, this was about 20 years ago. So that was quite a different experience back then as opposed to now. I think it's gotten a lot better. And I'm also, look, I'm a fan of sports. You know that I have a great connection to the Sharks. But I'm also a fan of downtown San Jose getting better and being improved. And if technology and companies like Google are going to come in and make things better, I'm for that. Now, I also want to make clear, I'm still curious and I don't know specifically what's being replaced, what's being taken away, what's going to be displaced by Google coming in. I do know the lay of the land on the west side of 87 in downtown San Jose. Really, is it downtown? Everything I know is east of 87. They're kind of taking a lot of, I think, emptier spaces and building them out. And now that would be a good thing. Replacing other things that don't need to be replaced, I don't know enough about this. Obviously, I don't know that I could support that. But anyway, we're talking about 250 acres in downtown San Jose. That's the overall project here. And the Google campus, that's what they're calling it. Companies, have to sound like a college. A campus, 65 buildings in about an 80-acre space. That sounds busy. I mean, it sounds like they're going to build a whole new downtown west of 87. And again, like I said, anything I think of is east. And some of the projects that have been done, new condos, new high-rises, building things out in a good way. That's all happened in that central core. Now things are starting to move out west towards where the tank has been for all these years. And I'll get to the Sharks' concerns in a second, but you can geographically see how obvious this is, that they established themselves in kind of wide open spaces. They're able to have parking lots, able to have people get in and out pretty decently, right? So far in the 30 years that they've been there. And now they're concerned quite a bit about how drastically that could change in the next 15 to 30 years. And another thing, too, about this Google expansion, which I'm trying to wrap my head around here, mid-pandemic, right? We're talking about the future of working and a lot more people working from home, especially in the tech world. Who really wants to build all this new extra office space in a time like this specifically? Like, this seems like the worst time to continue that planning. And again, I don't know that I'm necessarily against this yet. I'm just saying it's a weird time to have this all come together. So why are the Sharks concerned? I think the main point here is potential suffocation, and on two fronts. Number one is how people get to and from the building, not just the visitors, the guests, but the employees. I mean, this is a busy building. From an entertainment perspective in normal times, it's a rare night that an event is not taking place. Between the Sharks, 40 to 60 plus times a year, the Barracuda now play there, all the concerts and other events. I mean, you all know how busy that building is west of the Mississippi in the United States. I think it recently held the claim of being the most busy venue in America, in the West. That's pretty impressive. It's also not shocking if you've seen the schedule and sometimes after a Sharks game, how fast they rip everything else out to build in whatever is coming in next. But they're concerned with, getting in and out, and not just that, the amount of parking spaces. I mean, the tank is lucky enough to have a couple big lots that still surround it. There used to be even more, but that could be a dramatic issue if pretend right now, like the big lot that's in the north side of the facility, north of the building. Imagine if that lot is just not there anymore. Like, I don't know the exact amount. Again, not an insider on this, but I know that's a lot of parking spaces. I know that lot is always full. Even when the building even isn't completely full, that lot is. What are you going to do there? How are you going to displace all those cars and people? They're going to have to walk further. Is that going to be a problem? I know these don't seem like life-altering things, but in the reality of a building that gets used that much, I mean, this could legitimately, change a whole lot that really affects the success of the building. The Sharks sent out an email on Thursday, and I know this caught a lot of people's attention, and I'll just kind of summarize it here in reading through it. I mean, it's like literally several pages of scrolling. I won't go through it all. It's pretty deep, but for more than a year, they say, we've been sharing our concerns with you regarding the proposed massive development projects within the Diridon area of downtown San Jose, which surrounds SAP Center. For the past several years, we've been sharing those same concerns with the city of San Jose officials and Google's. Unfortunately, those discussions have yielded limited results, and the planners of these projects appear intent on moving forward in a manner that could force the Sharks out of San Jose. That hits right there, right? I mean, it goes to show how serious they're taking this. They say, we need your help to ensure this does not happen. Please read the what you can do section at the bottom of this communication. And again, this is very lengthy here, but it paints the picture of what's about to happen. 65 new buildings across an 84-acre area within the Diridon Station area. It also goes on to say here the 2040 San Jose General Plan, which is something all cities do. They try and make sure their infrastructure is set up for success. But in 20 years, 60% of all trips will still be made by automobile, right? So public transportation getting a little bit better, but largely cars are still going to be a big deal. But according to Google's DEIR, the developments within the Downtown West project alone, like we're talking about here, are projected to increase the daily automotive trips to and from the Diridon area from the current 19,200 daily trips to 136,000 daily trips. That is a sevenfold increase right there. Also, it gives you examples here of Santa Clara Street, right now a 4-lane, main thoroughfare from downtown to the tank. It's 4 lanes, going to be reduced to 2. Also, the main routes connecting SAP Center to Highway 280 and Bird Avenue and Autumn Avenue and Montgomery Streets between Santa Clara and Bird Avenue, those are also scheduled to be reduced from 4 lanes to 2. So you're just going to have a lot more activity. I know BART's going in down there. They're thinking about high-speed rail with the existing train station, which, by the way, the train station preceded all of this. But again, when SAP Center was built, it was kind of out, very much on its own. Everything built up to the tank, and that was good. But now the worry is building too much around the tank, covering it, surrounding it, and ultimately suffocating it. Issues. So we talked about street network access, parking. Google's Downtown West project is proposing to provide only 2,850 parking spaces for their 30,000 employees. They also are worried about the impact of construction. Again, that's another a thought to be had about all this. Building that much, 65 new buildings, is going to take how many years? So how many years are you going to have roads that get shut down, ripped out? It's going to be difficult living and difficult working through trying to get through all that when, 17,562 are trying to fill up SAP Center on a nightly basis. There are some things here. The what you can do section of the email does mention a city council meeting, which is actually happening in 2 nights from now. Tonight's Saturday. It's on Monday. It's I believe in the virtual fashion. You'll have to look that one up. City council meeting, on Monday, November 16th, and they're asking for the public to share their concerns with local elected officials, asking them to ensure that city planners address the street capacity issues. Again, if you're the Sharks, you're looking at this and you're having to establish this right now. They've known about the project. They had hoped to probably have more input about the project. They're not getting that input, and they're worried about this, and they're just saying, hey, everybody needs to know. Are they acting prematurely? I don't think so. I don't think they want to be disruptive in the process of good things happening for San Jose, hopefully, but I think they have to look out for themselves. Nobody else will. They're very invested in this. The Sharks have put so much money into SAP Center over the years. It's one of the oldest buildings, actually, in the NHL. A lot of people don't realize that, but it never feels like that, does it? It's always super clean. It's always super updated. The infrastructure, like I said, they just ripped out the entire ice facility, ripped out everything that makes ice in the building to put a brand new system in that's more efficient, that's more environmentally friendly, and hopefully is a better product. And they want that to last another 30 years plus. Like, they don't want to have to ditch the place that they've been, upkeeping all these years. So I think this is more defensive on their part than it is offensive on their part, if that makes sense. I also want to point this out too. It's crazy how the Oakland A's, which is obviously another interest of mine, other team that I cover, crazy how hard they've been working and how they've had to face every fight possible in trying to get a new ballpark at Howard Terminal in Oakland. Same kind of situation. They're building away from, well, and I guess downtown Oakland is expanding, especially north of Jack London Square and around those areas, but they're trying to use an underused right now piece of land. They're not trying to build over something that's bustling at the moment, but they're having to go and fight every single battle. On the flip side, here's Google, who just got 250 acres. 250 acres in downtown San Jose. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not trying to put them down. I'm just saying how clearly easy it was for one entity to get the land and do the development that they're wanting to do. And look at the Oakland A's, 50 miles up the road, and they're literally, and they're making progress. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they're literally having to fight every single fight. It's like nothing is coming easy for them. And that's, I guess that double standard is what's a bit frustrating. I know in Northern California, we're different here. We want to make sure that everything's done right, and we want to make sure that it's adequately, discussed and it's not rushed. And I totally get that. It's just amazing to me how, like I said, that double standard is kind of crazy when you think about it. So let's conclude the video with this. How worried am I? How worried should you be that the Sharks will eventually be leaving SAP Center? I mean, I think I'll put it this way. I think the next handful of months, the indications I'm getting, the next handful of months, and really the next year, give or take, is going to be super important. They're not going to change their plans for this development as it goes, or not drastically. And I really doubt they're going to scale it back once they, get the green light and put their foot on the gas. So I think there's some workable solutions. I'd like to hope there are between all the parties, the city of San Jose, Google, the Sharks. I would like to think that more of a conversation can happen. And maybe if the best thing that comes out of this is that they get a little bit more say and they get a little bit more protection. I think that might make all of this, and I hope it's a non-issue. What's the best case scenario here? Google does what they want to do for the most part. The city of San Jose benefits entirely from it. And the Sharks get to exist in the home that has been perfect for them since 1993. That would be great. And I don't think that's a far-fetched thing to happen. Again, I really think that the Sharks are doing what they had to do in the moment, and I don't think they meant to scare you. But I do really think that is a level of that's a level of concern that they have right now that they need to share. And if it takes having to ultimately think about a new venue and a new facility, I don't think they want to leave Northern California. But does it feel right to think about them playing anywhere else but downtown San Jose? Not for me. All right, so you know what? I'm going to sign off with that. I'm going to ask you to leave your questions and comments, anything you want to say down below here. Appreciate you watching this live version of the video. And yeah, second time is a charm here on a Saturday night. You guys all have a good one.